Ready to ignite your potential? The Motivation Plus Marketing Podcast, hosted and founded by John Di Lemme with a 25-plus year track record in the success world. This podcast cuts through the noise to deliver fundamental, powerful insights for real success. Every episode features top performers answering 5 powerful questions, revealing their strategies for overcoming procrastination, hitting their biggest goals, and sharing their top marketing tips. Get ready to turn your motivation and marketing into momentum. Let's dive in.
Well, great day, champions. Welcome to the Motivation Plus Marketing Podcast special series, the 5 Questions to Success. This is your founder, your host, John Di Lemme, and I'm very excited today to bring to you one of my great friends. I consider Tony almost part of our family. I know Tony. And Tony, just so you know, my brother, I am wearing a pink tie for our audio podcast today. So
I love it.
Because we will discuss that also. Tony and I go back to cassette tapes. Tony knows, Tony Rubleski knows Christy and I when we were dating and we got engaged and got married. So let me give Tony his official introduction, and then we'll launch right into the 5 Questions to Success podcast series today. Tony Rubleski is the president of Mind Capture Group, where his message is designed to help people capture more minds and profits. He is an in-demand speaker who's given hundreds of presentations, as well as an executive business coach, best-selling author, and creator of the Mind Capture Bootcamp, now in its 12th year. He has over 25 years of experience in the personal development industry. And, Tony, you are on my wall in my office here in beautiful West Palm Beach, Florida, where I was in your newsletter with one of my original articles in my first book, I believe, 18 years ago. So, Tony Rubleski, welcome to the Motivation Plus Marketing Podcast series. We're excited.
Thank you, my friend, and what an honor. And I feel like, the old guard, the OG is in the house, and I'm still on the wall at Di Lemme worldwide. So thank you for the update on that.
And it's exciting, too. The reason why I chose to relaunch this and launch it because I believe in old school values, for our real estate business, which many of you know I've retired from speaking, coaching, and training. And obviously I'm interviewing I consider all great friends and top performers. And, our business in the real estate world is old school values with world-class service. And I believe old school, just proven wisdom. Tony was like myself. He actually wrote books before AI, which means he's a true author. He just didn't put a title and go, write me a 40-page book and prints out. So I'm excited about us to have a roundtable conversation. And for everyone, as you know, on all my podcasts, grab a pen that writes, go old school, activate your mind, take some notes, and I believe today is going to unleash some wisdom with a track record for decades of success in the areas of personal development. So Tony, the first question that I always ask in the 5 Questions to Success podcast series, which gives people quick, proven, fundamental wisdom, how to overcome procrastination. So, Tony, what's your wisdom in that question?
John, it's a great question to start. And here's my kind of strange discovery. Goals work if you write them down and you review them and you take action. You and I know this, okay? We teach it, we live it, we breathe it. Something that came into my world a few years ago, I listened to a podcast interview. Here's the value of ongoing education, my friend, was one of the speakers said, you know what also helps your goals is when you have reasons why behind the goals. Could be to family legacy, to write a book to share with your kids and grandkids and your clients. Maybe it's to give back and tithe to a charity. When you have dialed in reasons why you're doing what you're going after, your main goals, it's the gasoline in the engine, John. And I can't believe all the years you and I have been in the industry, I kind of heard it taught in seminars, and I've used it maybe in my mind, but I never sat down until that day after that podcast. When it was done, I grabbed a notepad and paper and I wrote down 10 reasons why I do what I do. I look at it every day with my goals and my gratitude list, John. It's because some days are tough. You hear some no's, you have a big deal go sideways. Of course, we get wins, but when you're in a little bit of a setback, those reasons why are just extremely motivating. And each person listening has their own drivers, but I bet many have never sat down and said, okay, I got my goals, but what gives the goals more excitement to take action? So to me, having powerful reasons why you get up each day, you go in, you get yourself ready, you go to serve the marketplace in your product, service, or company, that'll push you through some of those tough days. Because, John, you and I know the world's crazy right now. People are triggered. They're very divided. They're angry. And we, as professional salespeople and marketers, have to do our best to build unity, to listen, and to serve people. And you got to cut through all their head chatter many times to have the right questions and to be strong enough to go out there with confidence, not cockiness, to say, you know what, I'm here to help you. How can I help you? And that disarms people, John.
That's right. And I just want to highlight a few nuggets that Tony shared, everyone. Tony said ongoing education to add value. It's so important that right now what I see, what hurts me, I was interviewed, and I'm honored, I'm humbled and honored to say this. I was interviewed on a podcast a month ago that's going to be launched in January and I'm humbled to say this, and very honored by the grace God has given me and the gift God's given me to be considered one of the greatest motivational speakers in the personal development industry. As you know, I've shared the stage with Jim Rohn, Les Brown, Mark Victor Hansen over, my career many years ago in the 2000s. And, when the first book I wrote is Find Your Why, and, the 10 life lessons on how to find your why now and achieve ultimate success. And I believe we have to go back to the purpose. Tony said something. When everyone write this down, Tony said he wrote a list of 10 reasons why with his gratitude list. When you wake up every day, thank God you have air to breathe, and you have a mind. And you have a mind, M-I-N-D, to improve and develop. And that's something, Tony, where I just want to unpack a little bit more about the name of your company, which I remember when we first shook hands many years ago, over 2 decades ago. Mm-hmm. And I remember I said to you, Tony, I love the name of your group because Mind Capture Group. Can you explain to everyone, Tony, what that means to you and why you created the name of your company, Mind Capture Group, which ties right into procrastination, how to overcome it?
Well, John, I haven't been asked this in a long time, so thank you. It's, the old adage of marketing is what's old is new again. So that's a writer-downer right there. What's old is new again. And the basics never go out of style. There's different ways to market. There's different ways to sell, but the cores never change, no matter if it's AI, social media, podcasts. And that's why I'm excited to be on your show, John. You're going back to nuts and bolts that work no matter what. Mind Capture Group was started 21 years ago. And when you come up with a book title, you want that headline or the title like your book, John, Find Your Why. That's how I heard about you. I read your book, heard your CD, then I saw you live in Atlanta. I was like, I got to watch this guy, meet him. And I never forget the day we met. And you would ask me about that, and here's why. The name is everything. And mind capture to me is how do you get attention or stand out in a world that's selfish and gives you maybe 8 seconds? And that's the world we're in, John, whether we like it or not. The attention spans are almost gone. That data is directly from Microsoft last year. We're down to 8 seconds. And I'm saying, how do you cut through where people go, who is that? I need to talk to him or her. They're different. They're unique. I want to learn more about this company. It's doable, but it takes skill and it takes persistence and takes know-how. So I want people to go, you're the mind capture guy. And in John, after 21 years, overnight success, certain verticals, banking, chambers of commerce, like, oh, you're the mind capture guy, or you're the pink tie guy. That is not an accident. That is a strategy of repetition and force over 20 plus years of saying that name, branding the look, showing up and looking the part. And people go, wow, you're consistent. And you're kind of like the guy that just doesn't leave. Like you keep following up with us, relentless follow-up. We may get to that, but to me, if you can't get attention or mind capture, no matter how good your product or service is, you're just like the thousands of other people right behind them. You're not going to get seen. So that's the genesis of the name.
I tell you, everyone listening, I get so excited about this because, look, one of my jobs that I had going through college was I had 4 jobs going through college, and one was I was a fitness trainer for Jack LaLanne. And I remember I met Jack 3 times in Yonkers, and Jack said, look, no matter what happens in life, push-ups, pull-ups, swimming, rowing, and live food and fruit and water, you'll always be healthy. That was Jack LaLanne. That's it. And you go back now, as based upon listening to this podcast, whenever you're listening to this, I'll be crossing into my 6th decade. I'll be 60 here shortly, and I work out every day. I've been doing push-ups every day, and people say that I'm in excellent physical shape. I'm actually stronger today at 60 than I was at 30. And every single day, Tony, I think of Jack LaLanne, his fundamentals. Yep. I want everyone, what Tony said is the fundamentals, and what people think of you What do they think of? And Tony, you said something about relentless follow-up. We'll discuss that in the marketing tip. But Tony's consistency, and it's so important for all of you. So Tony, going into the second question for the 5 Questions to Success podcast series, where we're cutting through the noise, the saturated noise, and obviously everyone knows the mission is to cut through the noise and get straight to the truth about what it takes to succeed. What's your number one secret to hitting your biggest goals, like achieving your biggest goals? Like, you could share personal goals, professional goals. What's your secret for yourself, Tony? How do you make it happen?
You know, the big point at this marker in my career, my 21st year, you know, being unemployed, John, self-employed, and you have many entrepreneurs that'll laugh at that, is that you continue to have a new goal you set that gets you inspired. And the reasons why, like we talked about, move in tandem. When you combine those two, you push through to hit the deadline. Okay, we have another book coming out in January, book number 10, and it's called Don't Quit, Do It. And it's the 50 lessons from the pages and stages of life. I'm going to look back at the last 20 years, the good and the challenging parts, John, that were pretty ugly at times, and not to get sympathy, but to say, what was the mindset of the strategy used to get through those valleys? Because many entrepreneurs go through that. They go through bankruptcies, embezzlements, divorces, addiction. And in the world of social media, it's more common, but that used to never be talked about, John. So I'm going to look back and put it all on the table. And it'll shock many of my closest associates. My clients are starting to see some of it because we're leaking different chapters online. And I'm saying that I have to have a new driver. And what's also changed is my faith walk. There's a bigger purpose than me. You know, my faith in the higher power of Jesus drives me to go out and serve more people. I'm very fortunate and blessed to go to a lot of secular groups where they're like, look, we have no idea that you are more faith-based, but your message is so positive that it doesn't impact people. They go, wait a minute, are you this or that? Because everyone likes to divide everybody right now. So I can speak in Seattle one day, Omaha the next, Fort Wayne the following, and, you know, West Palm Beach in the next week for different groups. And they go, wow, this guy is positive. He walks his talk. He admits his faults. But he's not there to preach and try to persuade people. He leads by example and in marketing proof. So, you know, it's taken a while to get to that point, John, where you can be that raw. My children are all grown up. My family and my partner, Sheila, they're very understanding because I don't want to hurt them. So they're like, Dad, go. Tell everyone what's really happened now. And most of this is public domain, John. But to put it into one book, I told a few people, they're like, wow, we can't wait to read this one. But it's 20 years in the trenches, John, of setting goals, hitting many of them, some not always on schedule, and having some major setbacks that could have knocked most entrepreneurs out of the game. We said, nope, here's what we did to get through it. That's where I really want to teach people is what happens when you have a week that's bad or someone doesn't pay you or a business partner steals from you. How do you move through that? Because that's usually not written about, John. So I want to put it out there. Here's some steps you can do if you want to apply them that give you a greater chance to push through this because it's not any easy. I can't fast forward the pain. You're going to have to work through it, but there are several ways to do it.
It's awesome. What Tony just said is you can't fast forward through the pain, but you just have to get through it. And Tony, something you said before we had a podcast before I hit the official record button on the podcast, is you said you're getting very close back to hockey playing strength. So to achieve your hockey playing strength at a young age that you are, quote unquote, what did you do every day to achieve that goal on a daily basis?
Several things, John. Working out is a non-negotiable. I love how you brought up Jack LaLanne. He was a legend. I can still see his infomercials. And I didn't know you spent a few days with him. What a small world. And to me, I made a goal at 40. I said, look, this is part of your job requirement now, Tony. You have to work out at least 4 or 5 times a week. And you've got to watch your weight because, you know, my suits are tailored, John. And what happens is a couple of times the last, 13 years, I'm 53 now, the suits have gotten a little snug. That means it's time to lay off the food a little bit. So that's a self-regulating. But to your point, if you don't have your health, I don't care if you have millions and billions of dollars, John. You and I run with high net worth individuals, and if some that we work with are way out of shape physically, and they would give up almost anything to have their health back. And to me, that is a huge blessing and an asset. And also the pace I run, if my health isn't tuned up, I can't be doing live events, hosting a couple of them, writing books, coaching, because I make commitments years out in advance, John. Someone might book me for a speaking date late next year in 26. I need to show up no matter how I feel, no matter what's going on in my life, to perform my highest level. In my health, my attitude, body, mind, spirit, that triangle is always optimized each day. And there's multiple ways, from going to the gym, to walking, to prayer, to gratitude list, to giving back. You start to stack those every day, you don't have very many bad days, John. You just don't, because you're stacking powerful habit force to complete the body, mind, spirit triangle. It's huge.
I mean, that's what Tony just said. He said the word stacking. When you stack them every day, everyone listening, ask yourself a question. Remember, we have 24 hours in a day. We have 7 days a week. We have 86,400 seconds in a day, and every second's valuable. And for all of you, take a look at your number one goal you want to achieve and start to chip away today. And so start to chip away at what time you're wasting that's not in alignment with the achievement of that goal. And you know me with health. I've always, all my events and I do my entire business and events around my personal development schedule and my exercise schedule. It's a rarity. You'll never see me speak. All my events, my boot camps, when I was speaking, coaching, training, I traveled to 26 countries around the world. Christy and I were in, we were in 5 countries in 3 weeks one time, and I never spoke before 11 a.m. That's just, I put my mind and my body prior to my business. And I challenge all of you, as Tony's saying, he's getting in his best shape at a very young age. I mean, Tony, you're not even a senior citizen yet. You're 53. You're a kid.
Well, thank you, my friend. And I can attest to that, having spoken at many of your events over the years and met many of your top students, is, you work on a lot of the marketing and sales and customer service, but they all work on their health because they're watching your example, John. That was something I watched around all the tables in the room, is you were leading from the front. So there's additional things they were getting from you as their coach, just above and beyond what's advertised, is that healthy lifestyle also gives you the confidence and the energy to go after your goals, John. If you don't feel good, it's tough to go after your goals because your body's fighting you. It's not an ally. And you go back to stacking, to me, it's momentum. You have one domino that tips, you keep tipping multiple dominoes, it speeds up. It doesn't mean that you're going to have a perfect year, but you're going to have so many more better days than the average person that doesn't even think like this. It's like this brand new revelation that habits are extremely powerful and do impact your life either for good or for negativity. You decide it each day.
It's powerful. It's so powerful. Question number 3 in an awesome series today, the 5 questions, the podcast series, interviewing the great Tony Rubleski. And real quick before I ask the third question, station identification. The exclusive sponsor for all of our podcasts is my awesome wife, Christy Di Lemme. As you know, she is the finest Florida professional realtor, home staging designer, creating excellence, serving each and every person treat everyone like a family member. Whatever we could do for you in the area of real estate, in the areas of identifying a property, representing you. She's on the phone right now with someone from upstate New York that's looking to invest in a property in Punta Gorda, Florida. And we've broken records in 23 housing developments here in South Florida. We're also known for taking over what's known as unsellable homes and breaking records, homes in the market for 26 months, 19 months, 18 months, 6 months. And when my wife does all the staging, design, and then the secret weapon is the marketing, is what I'm an expert at. There's, in life, know what you're an expert at. I'm an expert in marketing, in creating the excitement, enthusiasm, and focus. So whatever we could do for you in the area of Florida real estate from anywhere in this country, please let us know. Feel free to call or text me directly at 561-847-3467, 561-847-3467. And once again, Christy Di Lemme is the exclusive sponsor for the awesome podcast series. Now back to Tony. So Tony, question number 3, which I was so excited when I reached out to you and we scheduled a time today, because you and I are, let's just say, we're success quote fanatics. We love success quotes. So question number 3 is, and this is difficult to get down to 1, share your favorite success quote, please, Tony.
Benjamin Franklin, invest in your mind, for it's something that no one can take away from you.
And say it again, brother. Preach.
Invest in your mind, for it's something no one can take away from you. And that Franklin quote from the late, great Benjamin Franklin, forefather, to me, it's just, now we have so many opportunities, John, that I think people get overwhelmed. They just don't do it and they stop. So my best advice is find the area or niche that you're passionate about, that also has a market you can serve, okay? It does no good if you're passionate about something that the marketplace doesn't see value and won't pay you for your time, talents, and treasure. Also, find a good mentor or coach that's been down the path in front of you, John. You and I have been blessed with great mentors, from books to magazines to on stage to people that we've met that have mentored us. And they're all around you. You just have to become aware of it and ask the right questions. So to me, the continual investing in your mind, especially in the world we're in, to also ask critical questions, not to be negative, but to say, hey, where is their viewpoint coming from? Do you have data to support that? Where did that statistic come from? Hey, is there a different viewpoint or another option or two or three? You know, several of my core mentors taught me option-based thinking, John, from Dan Kennedy to Jay Abraham to you, other coaches I've had that I've been blessed to either meet or study with directly, have said, always have plan B, C, D ready. And especially in the world we're in now, John. I mean, the last 5 years has been like the twilight zone between COVID and international conflicts. You know, we're living through such a strange time that sometimes your best intention plans laid out get knocked out. And you have to go to plan B, plan C, plan D, and you run your checkoffs like you do in hockey or football, where a quarterback at the line of scrimmage looks at the defense and might audible 2-3 times based on what they're seeing at the line of scrimmage. The same is true in business. You've got to be ready to be able to bounce, to pivot, to reset, to angle at any given moment, and you have to have those ready. Not because you're afraid, but the marketplace doesn't wait. So I could go on and on, as you know, about quotes, but that is one of my all-time favorites.
But it's so powerful what Tony said. Everyone listening, look, you know, when I was asked, going back to that, when I was interviewed for that podcast here, was coming out in January, you know, they asked me what I disagree with the word fear, but they said, you know, what are you fearful of? I said, tell you what I'm concerned about. The lack of reading, the lack of learning. The average person doesn't read a book at all. You know, the average person does not know the greats of Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, the great, you know, Earl Nightingale, and people just don't know this wisdom that can transform and change your mind. Remember, your mind determines your marketing determines your revenue. Like, I love when people walked in a property yesterday that we had. This is time sensitive. We're recording this on Monday afternoon. It's a property been in the market for 26 months, and you know, people call us freaking out. And all business is all organic. It's all through. We have success to call us. We're known for taking unsellable homes and completely crushing the success. Someone walked in yesterday and said, "This is not the same home." I said, "It is the same home." And I said, "But when you walked in," I said, "you walked into obviously, Chrissy, my wife's a professional stager and designer, professional stager. And staging is not putting a plant in a can and cleaning it. We're professionally staging." I said, when you walked in, I said, you watched 4 videos before you walked in. You opened up the door. I said, there's so much behind it that it's the same structure. I said, but the value is created by the presentation, a difference of a Ritz-Carlton versus a Hotel 6. One's a commodity, one's an experience. And the only way you create experiences, look, there's one area you get from this, and something you said, Tony, was powerful. You said people get overwhelmed. People are overwhelmed because they're not structured and reading. And I love that. Invest in your mind, because those that invested in crypto many years ago have a nice return. They can now pull from an investment. You can't pull. You know, what I get so fearful of, Tony, and concerned about is people's vocabulary. You won't have a vocabulary if you don't read. So Benjamin Franklin, invest in your mind. You own that. People can't take it from you. That's why, as I look at my library, I read every day. I sit in the infrared sauna at the gym and I read. I mean, I read a book. Everyone, if that's one nugget you get from Tony today, invest in your mind. And then, Tony, going to the 4th question, which I believe in, and I'm not even going to give you a choice to answer it because I'm going to answer it for you, but I want you to expand upon it because you dropped the bomb earlier. The 4th question is your top marketing tip, and you said something, relentless follow-up, and no one follows up right now. So, Tony, can you expand upon? You can obviously give your top marketing tip, but I want you to expand upon what I believe was an awesome answer earlier, was relentless follow-up for marketing tip. What does that mean?
Well, I will go back to what's old is new again. I love to use a combination of offline and online, John, and the reason is different touch points hit people in different ways. So we're doing more targeted direct mail again because of the fact it works, it gets delivered. And it doesn't mean like the old days, 25, 30 years ago, there was no digital media that people look at it within a few days. Now sometimes it's 7 to 10 days, John. But you mail out 2 pieces of mail within 15 to 20 days, people are like, who is this? When you do a follow-up call, you layer it in and you do an email on top of it, they're like, okay, I need to talk to this person. Many times you'll get through. And we're mailing out, such fun things as comic books, how to be a superhero, get your people to our next event. And meeting planners and CEOs start cracking up on the phone. They're like, what is this? I'm ahead of 1,000 other people right then and there because it took a little time, had a little fun, and mailed out a direct mail comic book. And it works, John. Not every time, but it does the job that 1,000 PDFs and 1,000 emails can't because no one's doing it. And we also customize to the right targets. Vertical marketing means one banker talks to another banker to another banker. So we'll mail testimonials with the comic book from, for example, to the Michigan bankers who have brought me in over to the Wisconsin bankers. Doesn't mean they pick up and call me right away. When I follow up with our team, they know who we are because we've been knocking on the door several times. And it gets a little louder, and they go, all right, we need to talk to you. John, that shaves hours, if not days, off of the prospecting for most people. But most people are too lazy to do it, John.
Too lazy.
That's relentless follow-up.
Relentless follow-up. You heard what Tony said. Write it down. Outgoing mail. Ask yourself a question. What can you do right now in your business? Mail somebody something. And then I just got to drop another station identification for anyone listening that I would love to receive in the mail, which is part of Christy DeLemme's marketing, is Christy produces each month. It's titled Florida Living Inside News, your exclusive monthly guide to home tips, real estate trends, and DIY inspiration. For those of you who would love to receive a complimentary newsletter each month, the Florida Insider Living News from Christy, feel free to call or text. Once again, 561-847-3467, 561-847-3467. And like Tony, we didn't discuss this. You're probably laughing right now where you probably like, Delemmy's up to it again. I mean, that's part of Christy. Once a month, we mail out and produce Florida Living Inside News, your exclusive monthly guide to home tips, real estate trends, and DIY inspiration. And right now, this month edition is going out next week.
That is awesome. I'm going to text you back, and I want to be on the list because we're looking at either maybe Arizona or Florida, and we know people. So it doesn't mean that we may not always be your client, John, but we know other people in our Rolodex. So I want to be on the list. So awesome.
Thank you. Even for like the one I'm looking right now, like we just produced, I'm reading off it is the 5 summer living tips for a happy, healthy home. And Chrissy talks about how to keep your home cool without blasting the AC, how to give your garden and landscaping some TLC, create a relaxing backyard vibe. I mean, it's so important. Relentless follow-up. I mean, for everyone, what Tony said is so, so, so important. Just Tony, be our absolute pleasure to add you to our awesome family, as we say. Awesome. Number 5. This is awesome. This one could be a separate podcast for you and I also, because we're readers. The number 1 book that changed it all for you, young man. 53. You're young. You can't even get AARP yet. But go ahead, Tony.
I would say Think and Grow Rich. And many people have been touched by that book, but to have read that in my early 20s, very fortunate. Again, John, this is long before social media, Amazon, even the internet. You had to go find this. So that book, to me, was monumental. And then again, many years later, I want to add this in because it ties in, is Outwitting the Devil, which was written by Napoleon Hill and released posthumous in 2011. In full disclosure, I saw the manuscript before it was published worldwide, and I couldn't sleep for days. I was brought in by Amazon to work on the book launch, and it was just one of those rare opportunities, a God gift, where you're at the right place, right time, and you move. And to see that manuscript, which the family held up for a long time, 50 years after his death, that book speaks louder and more relevant today than when he wrote it back in 1938, John. He wrote it as the original thought to Think and Grow Rich. And I can't tell you how many hundreds, if not thousands of copies I've sold that book because I recommend it all the time. It's that timely and that much of a great classic follow-up to Think and Grow Rich.
So you had 2 books, Tony. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, as all my listeners know, and new listeners, obviously. My story is I went and purchased that book March 16th, 1990 at the White Plains Gallery, which is non-existent anymore. And I actually have the book on my desk. That book transformed my thinking. And then the next book, Outwitting the Devil, by Napoleon Hill, which was, as you said, it was published in the 1930s. You know, it's interesting. Real estate and self-development is exactly the same. Everything come back. All the trends from mid-century modern is everywhere now. And what is
Correct.
it? Mid-century means 1940, 1950. That's the style. Like right now, Christy, we're actually going to review a property tomorrow. It's a $19 million property. I believe will be taken over, unsellable, on the market for 7 months, didn't sell. I told the owner today, I said, look, I am telling you, I assessed the property. I said, put the number to the side. It can be an $80,000 condo or a $20 million mansion. The fundamentals are the same. You cook for one person as a chef or you cook for 100. The ingredients are the same. And I told him, I said, the issue is, and that's why when you look at what Tony's saying, the success, the fundamentals, that's why the 5 questions podcast series, old school, taking notes, wisdom, hear what Tony's saying, follow up, set your goals, take action, know your purpose, know your why, capture your mind by reading the right books. So Tony, what do you remember about Think and Grow Rich when you read that book? You say, you know what, this changed my thinking.
The key thing is it showed me that if he could do it, so could I. Napoleon Hill had a very checkered background for many decades, John. I know Dan Kennedy and I have been brought in by different groups such as Amazon and the Napoleon Hill Foundation to piece together what's fact and what's fiction directly from the foundation director, Don Green, who's still there. But there's a lot of misinformation that Napoleon Hill was always successful. He struggled a long time, John, and had self-doubt. And these are things that plague a lot of humans to this day. So I look and say, if he could get through all that, I can too. And at 22, 23 years old when I first read it, I was just a baby. I hadn't had much life experience. So it prepared me for battles to come, John, whether I wanted them or not. I could look ahead and say, someone's been down this road who has achieved this massive success, but they had sometimes years and years of obscurity and being laughed at, and Hill went bankrupt a couple times. People don't know that. So there's this thing in the modern world, you're not successful, you failed. John, how many mega millionaires and donors do you and I know collectively that have gone under many times? That's part of the process. Doesn't mean you set out to do it. But, I mean, I look at where I live in Michigan, Amway Corporation, Rich DeVos, Jay Van Andel, they went bankrupt 3 times before they made it and became multi-billionaires to this day and bequeathed it to their children and our community. But if they had quit after the 3rd bankruptcy, think of the thousands and thousands of families that are still employed, whether you like Amway or not, the company's still cranking it. It's built on motivation and goal setting. So I look just literally 30 miles to the east, and I see people that have done it. No matter what the negative media says, they go, whatever, that's part of the price. You get out there and try it. And a lot of people don't have the guts or the acumen and the discipline to do it sustained. What is it? Most businesses don't make it beyond 5 years. John, every day I'm grateful to God and my family and my clients and friends. We're in our 21st year. And I go, man, we made it. But, you know, every year we're starting out like a rookie in training camp. New books. We're up against the best speakers in the world. We're hosting 2 annual events now. We have to up our game because the marketplace is expecting it. They don't want the same old, same old. So we cannot get too cocky. We've got to stay hungry, like one of my heroes, Les Brown, taught me a long time ago. So how's that, my friend?
Well, Tony, I lost you on it was outstanding. I just lost you on the last when you said my great friend Les Brown said, and then just sharing that. For some reason, we got a little audio burp there for a second.
You would say you've got to be hungry. And I watched Les Brown several times throughout the month, and I love his videos not only for inspiration, but man, he went to hell and back several times, John. And you and I know him because we've spoken at your event with him. So to see someone that's one of the old OG to get there and still mentoring people is a huge thing. It shows that he didn't forget. He didn't count his millions and disappear. He's still out there being significant in a very crowded space called personal development.
I mean, everyone listening, what Tony just said, there's just so much wisdom here because personal development, and it almost crushes my spirit. You ask people, they don't even understand personal development. I mean, we're taking over another property. We with this young man yesterday. I was walking by his, and you'll love this being a sports person. I was walking by his library, and he's successful, and it's It's like a 900 square foot condo to be marketed a little over $500,000. Do the math on that. My wife's the lead realtor and stage and designer for this specific development. We've moved numerous properties, and anytime something comes up, they obviously come to my wife, Christy, and I went by his library, and I saw all the football books from Tony Dungy to all. I mean, he had over 100-something books, and I looked at the books, and I said, this is the reason why you're successful. It's the books you read. Look, everyone listening, take this from Tony, called Mind Capture Group, and all of you can visit Tony at Mind, MIND, CAPTURE, mindcapturegroup.com, and read more about Tony, and it's so important about Mind Capture Group. Tony, final words of wisdom for everyone you like to share for the 5 questions of success. It's like sitting in front of Joe Gold and Jack LaLanne. You mentioned fitness. There wouldn't be EOS. There wouldn't be LA Fitness. There wouldn't be Orange Theory. There wouldn't be CrossFit if it wasn't for Jack LaLanne or Joe Gold. Let that sink in. That's a starting point. So, Tony, what do you want to kind of wrap up this? And we've done X, and Christy goes, make sure you and Tony keep it under 4 hours. I'm like, we're fine. We're a little over 35 minutes here, so we're right at that point. So how do you want to wrap it up, Tony?
She knows as well, my friend, and tell her congratulations and keep crushing it. My advice would be this: no matter what endeavor you're going into, or if you're currently in it, find the best in class to either read their book, go to their seminar, take a class with them, coach directly with them if you can, but get there and be humble enough to shut your mouth and listen to them. Until you've arrived at the success they have, unless it's ethically wrong or there's something immoral, then you get out of there. John and I know this. But for the most part, let's assume they're an ethical person. Listen to them, thank them, and implement. When you do that, you are so far ahead of the people that want to try to tell a successful coach or mentor what to do. You never, ever do that. Ever. They're giving you the gift of their life force, their time. Shut up, take notes, and implement. It's not much more complex than that, John Di Lemme.
Right there, what everyone said. Tony Rubleski, thank you for your time. Thank you for our friendship. You're awesome, my brother. Everyone, obviously, wherever you're hearing this podcast episode, by now everyone knows what to do. Share, like, subscribe, follow, all that great stuff. And once again, whatever we could do for you here in the state of Florida, Tony, like you said, anyone from out of state looking to invest and own your dream home in Florida. Right now, my wife is on the phone with someone who is in upstate New York. She's also on the phone with someone from Tennessee that's moving to Florida. So whatever we could do for you in the state of Florida for real estate, feel free to let us know. You call or text me directly, 561-847-3467. And that's the exclusive sponsor for the podcast series. And Tony Rubleski, make sure all of you go out and take a look at Tony at mindcapturegroup.com. And my nugget of wisdom, I always wrap up the show, nugget of wisdom. Those of you go, I can't afford coaching, can't afford mentorship. Excellent. That's fine. Look up Think and Grow Rich, Outwitting the Devil. Look up Tony's books. Go read some books. Look up Les Brown. Watch some videos on YouTube. Watch some Jim Rohn on YouTube. Watch some of the original wisdom. With that said, God bless all of you. Have yourself the most tremendous day. And remember, today is the greatest day in your life because you have an opportunity to learn, live, and grow, and increase your relationships. God bless you, Tony. Thank you so very much, everyone. And I appreciate you sharing, liking, and subscribing.
Take care.